Hello everyone, my name is Derek and welcome to the Netflix Knowhow, the review show here to help you stop browsing and start watching. Today we have When We First Met, a Netflix original comedy starring Adam Devine as a guy who has fallen in love with one of his best friends, but she doesn't feel the same about him and has instead chosen to marry somebody else. Luckily for him, he accidentally stumbles upon a photo booth with the power to take him back to the moment when him and his friend first met, and he uses this machine to continually go back and try and rewrite history so that him and his friend can be together back in present day. Now, the strongest selling point for this movie is easily Adam Devine of Workaholics fame, who has proven himself to be a true comedy powerhouse. Even when the things he's in don't always end up being a quality product, he usually comes out of them fairly unscathed, thanks mostly to the fact that he is just incredibly likable and has some amazing goofball charms. That's definitely the case here, as you can't help but smile every time he's on screen, and he even does a pretty good job portraying some of the more serious moments as well. Having said all of that about him, this movie unfortunately falls into that lacking in quality category. Maybe quality isn't the right word, but it's definitely lacking in originality and stakes. The main bulk of this movie is spent with us following him back in time over and over and over as he tries about a million different ways to try and win the heart of his friend so that when he comes back to the present, they will be together as a couple. Of course, most of the time this usually results in some pretty unintended and often undesirable outcomes, both in his relationship with his friend and in other aspects of his life as well. While this opens up the possibility for some truly crazy and ridiculous scenarios to unfold, the movie never really tries to do anything all that risky with it. There's a version where they end up as friends with benefits, one where she ends up thinking he's a creepy stalker, and of course there's one where they actually do end up together, but with some strings attached to it. It becomes very obvious very early on that these two are never going to work out no matter what he does to change the past, and so the film quickly devolves into just watching an exercise in futility for 90 minutes. On top of that, it becomes abundantly clear about 20 minutes into the movie who he is actually meant to be with, and so watching him jump through all of these hoops to try to win the heart of a girl that doesn't even want him can really be a test on your patience. That's kind of his character though. I mean, he's really an idiot. Idiot characters, the ones who are really not at all meant to have any sort of mental capacity going on up here, are just, they're notoriously difficult to do right and even harder to do well. They have to be able to walk that fine line between likable naivety and frustrating stupidity, and if they lean too far in either direction, the whole thing just kind of falls apart and they end up becoming really annoying. I'm not saying they're impossible to do. Fry from Futurama is actually one of my favorite fictional characters ever, but they're definitely tricky to pull off, and unfortunately, Adam Devine's character in this movie is just way too stupid. The first time he travels back with the photo booth, he is understandably confused, and even more so when he suddenly transports back to the present, but the amount of time it takes him to adjust and figure out what is going on with him is just, it's way too long. The movie tries to play it up for comedic effect, but the joke just lasts way too long, and it quickly goes from being funny to just being kind of irritating. And unfortunately, this level of stupidity is a characteristic that Adam Devine's character carries through the entire film. The first 2/3 of the movie are basically just Adam Devine playing dumb and not understanding things that are blatantly obvious. And I don't mean obvious as in like obvious to the audience but not obvious to the character, obvious as in, wow, this guy is just really a moron. How does he not get that? Yes, I know, he's supposed to be that stupid, but come on, guys.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
The one saving grace that stops his character from being a complete waste of breath is, of course, Adam Devine himself. As I said before, it's virtually impossible to hate this guy. Yes, his character is unbelievably stupid beyond the point of comprehension, but I have to admit, I still laughed at him. A lot. See, that's the great thing about Adam Devine, is that he can take even the smallest, dumbest idea and turn it into something genuinely silly and fun and joyful. There's a moment in the movie where his character is suddenly able to speak and understand a second language due to changes that he made in the past, and it's so funny to watch him learn this about himself. Not because the scene is particularly noticeable for any certain reason, but mostly because Devine just sells that moment of self-discovery so well and with such gleeful enthusiasm. Alexandra Daddario also gives a very nice performance as Devine's love interest and friend and the person he has been pining after. She does a very good job showing a genuine appreciation for Devine as a friend and is very likable despite the fact that she is essentially playing the heartbreaker character here. I liked that the film isn't cynical or misogynistic about her character and instead treats her as a real person with good intentions whose desires just so happen to not line up with those desires of our main protagonist. This doesn't make her a bad character by any means, it just makes her a strong, independent woman whose decisions and choices are to be respected. The film never insinuates that she owes anything to Devine or that she should be shamed for only seeing Devine as a friend instead of a potential love interest. She's just a good person who genuinely cares about her friend, and I appreciate that sentiment. The biggest problem I had with the film is that it never really felt like there were any true stakes in it. This photo booth, this time machine that he keeps using, it always works, and every time he hops into it and then comes back to the present where everything is inevitably screwed up, all he has to do is hop back in it again and try once more. There's never really a moment where he can't just magically fix everything by hopping back in the time machine and trying again, so every time he comes back to the present and things are wrong and not at all according to the way he planned it out, it doesn't really matter. There aren't really any consequences to him changing the past because he can always just go back and change it again if he needs to. They had a moment to address this. Towards the end of the movie, he finds himself in a situation where the photo booth is actually missing and he can't use it anymore. And so it looks like he has permanently screwed up his present. But then the movie comes along and is like, nah, just kidding. Here you go, buddy. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you take away that one moment that would have given all of his actions some kind of weight? And then of course there's the fact that 15 minutes into the movie, I knew exactly how the thing was going to end, and sure enough, that's how it ended. There wasn't a single surprise or twist or turn that I did not see coming from a mile away. Mostly because there weren't really any twists or turns. It's a very straightforward movie with an easy answer that only has a runtime as long as it is because the main character is too stupid to figure out how to put two and two together. It's basically like watching someone search around the house for their keys for an hour and a half, only for them to finally figure out that the keys have been in their pocket the whole time. Really? That's all it amounts to? If you really like Adam Devine, yes, he is very, very funny and he is going to make you laugh. And for some, maybe that will be enough. But if I could go back to the moment when I first found this movie while browsing through Netflix, I would quietly skip on by and pick something else. Thumbs down. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below and share it with all your friends. I would really appreciate that. It would be super, super helpful for me. As far as announcements go, just a reminder, I do have something special coming up next month, so be sure to tune in and see what I have cooking because it's gonna be great. I hope you guys enjoy it. Anyway, you guys can always head over to Twitter and over to Facebook. Follow me on there. I post updates and different random things on occasion. And as always, if you want to know your flicks, you know where to click. Happy hunting, guys. I'll see you next time.